I want to take off like a decent amount.
Alright, so we're starting off this haircut by clipping off the section that I'm going to be working with. I like using these kind of clips, whichever ones you guys use. It's just preference. I'm going to go ahead and clip off the other side. This is going to be more like a modern mullet. And then all of these haircuts that I'm going to be doing on the YouTube channel are going to be like real time, like if you were working at a barbershop. I'm not going to give myself too much time just so I can show you guys how I actually work at the barbershop. Right now I kind of just brushed down the hair, not brushed it down, but just kind of more of where it naturally lays. And I'm going with my trimmer, set the first guide. We're going to do this taper pretty low so we could leave the outline of his hair pretty dark. I'm gonna come in with my shaver and bald it out, not leave too much of a harsh line, that way it could be easy to blend out. My next step is going to be the clipper with no guard closed. I'm gonna set that guide in, watching how I make sure that I don't put it in too harsh. I opened it just halfway, did the same thing just above that line, and then I opened it and did the last little bit. Now I'm going in with my Masters. It has a fat blade on it. Now I'm going in with it open. That would be equivalent to your 1.5 open with a guard. Now this fat master blade, I have it a little modified that's gonna be able to get as close as a no guard open. So now I'm gonna not necessarily blend but break up that one master's fat blade that I did. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to raise up his blend too high. So I'm just breaking it up. As you guys see, now that I'm kind of combing his hair, I'm looking for those darker, heavier lines. I'm just going in ever so slightly to break it up to keep the blend nice and low. I'm trying to keep the length of his hair on the side so that when he brings down the rest of his hair, it blends into it. Now I'm more of a point cutting with the texturizing shears. This technique is a little bit more advanced, so if you're a beginning barber, this might not be the best way to do it for you. I'll probably do another video of how to do it without the texturizing shears, but you will end up with a little bit higher blend than you would like. Now I'm not completely done with the texturizing shears, but I'm going to go in and blend it a little bit more. Now I'm going to start working with the lever completely open, and I'm gonna start closing it as I start blending. So you guys notice how I have a different angle of the clipper. Right now I'm a lot more flat with the blade on Louis' skin, and now I'm closing it and working my way down. I do about 4 different notches when it comes to this Masters. Now I'm completely closed. That length there is equivalent to a no guard open on my clippers. Now I'm gonna pick it up with my Masters completely open. Try to stay as flat as I can. I tend to like to use most of the blade as possible, and I'm working my way down, every notch just going lower than the previous step. I sometimes go back and get a little bit of corner work for just some areas to soften it up, but not too much. This will help with speed in your guys' haircuts. Now you guys see that harsh weight line that's above the blend that you guys could see. I'm gonna leave that alone. Right now I'm just working on the taper part. You guys could tell it's almost done. I'm gonna hit the last shaver guideline with my trimmers. They're pretty close but not completely zero gapped. Now I'm gonna work around his hairline, making sure to bring down his ear and try to get in there as natural as possible without stretching the ear too much. If you guys stretch out the ear too much, it's gonna change the shape of the hairline. And remember, you guys don't want to push this back. The only time it's okay to do it is if the client wants to. So we're pretty much just gonna round off the back of his hair just to get all the stragglers. As you guys notice, I'm taking all of these off by being flat on the neck. I try not to flip the clipper around on this area because it's very easy to irritate clients' neck, especially if you have a zero gapped. So now I'm gonna blend out that heavy line with my texturizing shears. This technique is a little bit different than the other because I'm going after the ends of the hair, which I see it as actually blending. The other one was more of a breaking it up. You just have to go in little by little. Let me take a look at it. Now I'm going after the darker spots. I'm not doing it in the video, but an easy way to find out where the darker spots are is if you move your client around and you look at their hair through the mirror, and that will help out a lot. Doing a few last little touches with the point cutting, kind of combing his hair back, making sure it lays like I want. And I'm doing that same thing with the mirror, but with the camera. If you guys can set up a camera, that'll work too. Something about the mirror and the camera will help you catch those darker spots, and you guys could go after them pretty easy. So Louis likes more of a natural hairline, so we do our best not to push it back at all. But because I did that taper pretty low, we could outline his hairline and so that it could just pop. I'm going in with the corners of my trimmer right now to blend it in a little bit more, moving it a little bit higher but towards closer to his ear, so that the outline of his hairline pops a little more. My goal with these kind of videos is to show you guys how I cut hair. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong, but I also want to show you guys how I cut hair in the shop. Now I'm gonna go over it with the razor. Make sure to use a new one on every client. I'm gonna go in, stretch out his skin with my left thumb, going against the grain. That part right there, I probably went in with the razor with the grain to get rid of a little bit of that shaver guideline. Now I'm going around his ear, doing a backhand motion. Stretching out his ear again to get behind it. Around the hairline, when I use the razor, I try to focus just on the line and then I go over it with the shaver. Practicing different strokes with the razor is gonna help you guys a lot going around the hairline. Now I'm going in with my shaver to completely get all of the hair around his hairline. Giving a few touches to the taper with it. I'm gonna blend his beard up to that taper part. I'm gonna start with the lever open and slowly closing it while I move up. Louis likes more of a darker blend. So I finished going from open all the way to close, and I'm gonna go in with a little bit of corner work just to detail it in a little bit more. So now we're gonna work on his hairline. We have a video on how to do the hairline in more depth. Start from the middle, work my way to the corner. This is the side that Louis doesn't like me to push his hairline at all, which is why I'm not gonna hit the side of his hairline, the vertical bar with the trimmer. I'm gonna go in with the razor just to minimize the pushback that happens when you use a trimmer. I'm gonna go ahead and start in the middle, clean it up. Working my way towards that vertical bar. Going completely down with it, and then hit on the side, make it as straight as I can using the full blade of that razor. That's the side view. That's what it's looking like so far. We're gonna repeat the same steps on the other side. I usually work on both sides at the same time. The left side of his hair is different than the right side of his hair. His right side of his hair combs back a lot easier. The left side of his hair is a lot more full, so you have to make a blend but so that it could still slick back and not stick out. So just like the other side, I'm going in with my trimmers, set that initial guide, go in and clean it up with the shaver. Closed no guard, open it halfway, right above that line, open it all the way, and then just go above that second one. Going with my masters with a fat blade on it, open right above that last step which was the no guard open. Same thing, combing the hair towards the back, trying to mimic how he's gonna style his hair. I'm gonna go in, try to break it up, trying to save as much length as I can here. What I'm technically doing when I'm breaking it up is I'm removing hair with inside of that section, which is just gonna make it less dense but still be pretty long. So I'm going in and still breaking up that weight line that I see with my texturizing shears. I know it's technically blending, but for the sake of the video and explaining how I work, I'm gonna separate them when I break up a hard line and when I'm trying to actually blend it, just to kind of explain to you guys the difference. And you guys got to be very careful trying to do this technique because it's very easy to overdo it. So now I'm going in with my masters with a fat blade, and I'm slowly closing the lever. the Fat Master's blade on the Andy's Master blade. With no modification, it'll go from a 1.5 guard to a 1 guard open. Now I'm gonna go in with my Master's open and slowly work the lever down as I move towards the bottom of the taper. And as you guys could notice that I'm doing pretty much the same steps that I did on his right side, not changing it up a whole lot. When you guys find out a way to cut hair and keep the same steps, it'll help you guys with your time. I'm gonna go in and start outlining his hair using my trimmer, trying to keep it as natural as I can. And you guys can see how much it pops just because I kept it pretty dark around his hairline. Anytime I try to keep like a blend pretty dark is when I'm gonna use more corner work than your traditional blend. I'm gonna go in with my comb over shear work with texturizing shear, and I'm gonna start blending it in and bring it in together without removing too much length. I will look for a model to show what the difference are between those techniques that I keep telling you guys. Anytime you guys see a technique that I'm using in my tutorials, comment below and let me know so I could go and explain it in more depth. The whole goal with the texturizing shears is to not overdo it. So I'm gonna line up his left side of his hairline. The left side of his hairline is a little bit different. It grows more down than with his hair. I do have to remove a little bit more hair on this side. Not the vertical bar, but more towards the top of his hair. And remember guys, the only time you do this is when the client requests it. Same thing, I'm not gonna use a trimmer for his vertical bar on his left side. I'm gonna go in with my razor, using the full razor to make sure that that line is straight. The reason I'm going against the grain on this side is because his hair grows that way, so I want to make sure I get it nice and sharp. Just taking a look at his hairline, making sure it's nice and straight. Always use your mirror to make sure that your hairlines are even, especially in the beginning days. I'm going to use a backhand stroke. Making sure the hairline stays nice and natural. I'm gonna start working on the left side of his hairline behind his ear. Same thing. It's okay to pull it, but not too much. If you guys do it too much, you're gonna change the shape of the hairline. Any areas where you could use the full blade of your trimmer, make sure to use it. This is going to help you guys with creating straight, sharp lines. Any places where it's curved, then that's when you would want to go in with your corners. But besides that, try to use the full blade. Picking up the hair, making sure to get all of the little hairs behind his neck. Now I'm gonna go in with my razor, just working that area. Sometimes I go with the grain wherever I do my bald line with my shaver. It helps me blend it out just that much more. I usually don't hold the blade this way, but I'm doing it so that you guys could see or have a better view. Try your best not to raise your elbow that high. After cleaning up just the hairline, I'm gonna go in with my shaver and remove the rest of the stubble. We're gonna start the scissor work to cut the top of his hair. He had already mentioned to me that we're gonna remove a good amount of length. Like I said before, guys, most of my videos are going to be done as if I'm actually working at a shop and I have a client coming in right after. Just working in all that water to make sure all of his hair is nice and damp. Right now I haven't removed a lot of the sides, but it's already blending in because of that length that I left. He's just explaining to me that he wants the sides a bit shorter, but the back even shorter and the top longer. I'm gonna start with this front piece, just hold it up so he could see. Here I'm showing him, he said he wants a little bit more. Pick it back up, hold it with my fingers, show them. He said that's good. I'm gonna start cutting the top. I'm gonna use this as my first guide. I'm gonna go ahead and create my guide down the middle, like a mohawk section. Right now I'm using a traveling guide, which just means that the guide is moving with your previous cut section. Once my guideline is created down the middle, I'm gonna use that as a stationary guide to cut the rest of the top. As I keep picking up sections, I'm pulling out straight out of the head, which would be a 90-degree from his head, completely straight out. The tricky part is where the client's head rounds off. It looks like you're cutting more than you want, but just follow your guide. I'm gonna bring that guide all the way down to his hairline.
At this point, the whole guideline's all the way down to his hairline. That's gonna be my reference point for the rest of the haircut. Now I'm just gonna start in the front of the hairline. In that middle mohawk section that I did is gonna be my guide for the rest of the haircut. I'm gonna pull out the hair straight up with the guide, so that top part of his head is gonna be all one length at a 90-degree. The most important thing when you guys are cutting hair with shears is to make sure you grab the hair nice and firm so you could see your guideline. The moment you lose your guideline, cutting hair with shears is gonna seem impossible. Same thing from the top of his head to the side of his head is gonna be like that round point that I was talking about earlier. Especially if they want it shorter, don't be afraid to cut into your guide. Once you cut into that round part, that's going to be your new guide for the side, and you're going to just connect it like that. Pull it out 90 degree, cut it straight up. And as you guys could tell, I kind of got sidetracked and left that haircut. What I'm doing here is finding my guide again and then picking it back up and continuing. Asking your clients which sections of their hair is going to be longer and shorter before the haircut helps, so that you're not afraid to cut into the guide. Right here, I'm starting to pick up the hair again. I'm just going straight across, picking it up 90 degrees off his head. Right here on the sides, I'm more comfortable working in front of my clients. Kind of just tilt his head to the left, his left, my right, and then just do the same thing that I did on the other side. Remember, you guys, this is the way I cut hair during an actual haircut, where I have time blocked off that I'm gonna have another client. Right behind his ear, I'm just double checking that it's about the same length as the other side. I'm gonna go in palm to palm, bringing the hair out 90 degrees. But you guys could see how I put in the comb in first and then pull out nice and tight. I cut this section vertically. I'm going in horizontally just to cross-checking real quick. Once I'm done with both sides, I just try my best to make it as even as I can. Make sure to pull out the hair, and then once it's nice and set, I'm going to start in the back. I have my guide that I established earlier. I'm going to work my way up, doing palm to palm. I'm going to work on the right side of his hair first. You guys try your best to do palm to palm on the back of the head. I actually need to start practicing more on the sides of the head, palm to palm, which I don't use as much as I should, but using palm to palm definitely is the better technique. Since I've cut Louis' hair for a few years now, I know he doesn't like that tail straggly piece at the bottom where the hairline ends, so I make sure to round it off. Once I get above the ear, I'm gonna start connecting the back to the side where I left off. Right here, I'm connecting it to the sides. I'm in a weird position just so that the camera could see where I'm cutting. A lot of the times I don't do this over the head thing unless it's for the camera so they could actually see where I'm cutting. Now we're gonna work on the left side of the hair. Just follow your guide, going upwards again. Just remember that you guys gotta cut with the guide as straight as you can, and don't be afraid to cut too much hair. So again, I'm done with the back section pulling towards me, and I'm gonna just kind of round off this side to connect with his left side of the hair. And you should be able to see both guidelines, and you would just want to connect them right there. I just kind of fluffed out his hair, double checking that they're pretty even. If I feel like one side's longer than the other, I kind of just go back and trim it just a little bit. I honestly felt like his right side of his hair was a little bit longer than the left side. Once I get it to the length that I like, I'm gonna cross-check everything, which that just means you're gonna go opposite of how you originally cut it. Since I did palm to palm horizontal, I'm gonna check it vertically, picking up the hair, making sure that it's nice and even. At this point, the top of his hair is pretty much all done. I'm combing the hair back a little, kind of just being picky at this point. I still feel that his right side of his hair is still a little too long, so I'm gonna go in and just trim it up just a tad more. Once I'm done with everything, I make sure to get his hairline right at his lineup, but make sure to get the whole forehead and not just the where you did your line, just to make sure everything's nice and clean. We're gonna give you a quick look, and this is just right after the haircut. And remember, you guys, this was what a typical haircut appointment for me would look like, actually working behind the chair.